Molly here. If you like what we're doing and you want us to keep doing more of it, please hit that subscribe button so that we can get monetized and we can keep bringing you this kind of content and more. The Last of Us Episode 5 was probably the best episode of the TV series so far. To recap where we left off, Joel and Ellie held at gunpoint by Sam and Henry. In the television show, it turns out that Sam is 8 years old, he is deaf, and he had leukemia, which led his brother Henry to collaborate with Fedra in order to get the medication that was needed to save Sam's life. In exchange, what Fedra wanted was Kathleen's brother, and Henry gave him to Fedra. This is why Kathleen hates Henry so much, and she has made it her life's mission to kill Henry. Using tunnels under the city, Henry, Sam, Ellie, and Joel, they make it out, and they're what looks like more of a suburban area from the main center. They're trying to escape, and unfortunately, they're spotted, and Kathleen and her crew show up just when you think all is lost. The ground opens up, and a bunch of infected people come running out of there, including this gigantic, bloated-looking thing. It is a massacre. Kathleen's second in command actually sacrificed himself so she could get away, but instead of leaving, she goes looking for Henry, and she winds up getting herself killed, which I guess she had coming at that point. Fortunately, in all the chaos, Sam and Henry and Joel and Ellie managed to escape. Unfortunately, as it turns out, Sam had been bitten, and when it's revealed that Sam was bitten, it's because Sam has turned, and Henry is forced to shoot and kill his brother, after which he turns the gun on himself. After that, Joel and Ellie bury the bodies, and then they continue on their journey. This is very different from the way things happened in the video game.
The stories were similar, but there was a lot of differences. For instance, Henry was portrayed in the video game. The reason he and Sam were on the run in that city was because they were going through Pittsburgh to get to out west to find the Fireflies. And as they were picking up supplies, they met these people, and that's why they were on the run. As you pointed out, that in the TV show, they were hunting down Henry because of Kathleen and her brother being turned in to Fedra so that Henry could get the medication for his brother. The video game also had a scene where, as they were escaping the city, Ellie and Joel were blocked off crossing this bridge, and we know Ellie can't swim. There's an ongoing theme where there's water, and since Ellie can't swim, Joel has to find like rafts to move her along the levels in the game. Well, there was no way across the bridge. Ellie jumped in the water in the video game, and then Joel followed to help her swim because she couldn't swim. I don't know what happened, if he hit his head on a rock or what, but the screen went black, and then later on you find out that it was Henry that pulled them both to shore and saved their lives. I just thought that the portrayal of Henry with the Kathleen character addition in the TV show, I don't want to say turned his character a little bit darker, but helping out his brother, I guess that helped reinforce his brother being the most important thing in his life. And the other difference was Sam, the brother in the TV show, he was deaf as far as I can... Was he older in the TV show, or was he...
He was younger. In the video game, he looked like he was probably the same age as Ellie, so I would say around 14. But in the TV show, they stated that he was 8.
In the TV show, they had this interesting mechanic of him talking. Obviously, since he was deaf, he wasn't able to talk using his voice.
He was mute as well.
But he had this, I'm trying to remember what those toys were called, but those things you use the little like carbon paper on the back and then you lift it up and it erases it. So during the episode, he kept using that to communicate. And that was an interesting mechanic in the TV show for communicating. They kept doing over and over again. So that was actually interesting, the way they were communicating, or he was communicating to Ellie. Also, there were scenes that were actually lifts from the video game, mostly. The big one being in both the TV show and the video game, as they were escaping the city, there was this sniper that was held up in a building, and Joel had to go around and sneak in and take out the sniper, and then he had the sniper rifle, and in both the TV show and the video game, then these things were coming to try to take out Sam, Ellie, and
Henry.
Henry, thank you. And so in the video game, you are Joel and you've got the gun, the sniper gun, and you're trying to protect them. And in the TV show, because you were following mostly the three, Sam, Ellie, and Henry, and you were just hearing the shots and seeing people getting pegged off while they were trying to run. The big difference was, I believe in the video game, the zombies didn't come to the very end, and it was just a onesie-twosie thing.
And the ground didn't open up and no giant bloated monster infected person came out. That didn't happen in the video game. It was just onesie-twosie infected people coming after them.
In both the video game and the TV show, that was a cool scene. I mean, it was very action-centered, and it was well done. At least I thought it was well done.
It was. And as I said in a previous episode, I knew that was going to come back to bite Kathleen in the ass, that she didn't tell anybody that she had seen that the ground was heaving under that building. And now we know why that was such a huge deal.
In the TV show, the way they were going to escape, the way Henry and Sam were going to escape, is they wanted to enlist Joel to help escort them out because Henry said he's not a killer and he needed Joel. He needed somebody who could escort them through the tunnels for safety. And then as he was explaining his plan, Joel eventually found out that the reason that there weren't any infected people in Kansas City in the TV show was because they pushed them all underground.
Yeah, Fedra had pushed them all underground.
So what he really needed Joel for wasn't to protect from the other hunters, so to speak. It was in case they ran into any infected. He needed somebody who didn't really have an issue with killing, I guess. So that's the reason that he basically needed Joel to help him. There was a scene where Sam and Ellie were playing soccer in the TV show and the video game. The big difference was the goal of the TV show was just to get out of the city and to head west. And in the video game, it was to get out of the city, but it was to head to this radio tower, I think it was, where there was a bunch of supplies that were built up. The ending scene where Sam turned and attacked Ellie, that happened in both the video game and the TV show. And then when Henry took out his brother and felt remorse for that and then took himself out, that was pretty consistent between the video game and the TV show. The general stories themselves were mostly the same, but the way they went about the details of them, they were significantly different. At least I thought so.
Yeah, and one of the major differences was that in the video game, no one knew that Sam had been bitten. In the television show, he had shown Ellie that he had been bitten. And Ellie had cut her own hand and tried to use her own blood to heal Sam, which obviously was never going to work because that's not how that works.
Sam was freaking out. He was very scared. And in the TV show, that's how Ellie was trying to calm him down by saying, she showed her own scars and said, look, I don't get infected. I'm medicine, I think is what she said.
Her blood is medicine,
And then she cut her arm and then she rubbed it on his cut. I don't think she in any way thought that was going to help him. I just think Sam was so scared she wanted to offer something. Because they spent a lot of time with Ellie and Sam. They were really bonding. They were playing together. They were talking. Sam was laughing for the first time, as Henry said, in a long time. So when Sam died, because I hadn't played the game, that we watched the TV show first, I was actually quite upset that Sam died because I actually liked Sam and Henry.
Oh, it was so tragic. It practically had me crying. And that's saying something. I mean, that was really well adapted for television because obviously to have a TV story, you have to have them doing more than just hunting around for supplies. And I thought that the way that they fleshed out that story was actually really well done.
For me, I agree with you. I think this was the best TV episode of the season. I'm hoping that we get to see more like this. Even though this deviated from the narrative in places quite a bit, I still think it held the spirit of what they were trying to accomplish. They changed some details around.
Yeah.
So this was a good episode. Good performances. Sam and Henry the actors did a really good job. I felt bad when Sam got killed by his brother, and then the remorse that Henry felt and killed himself. Like, that was a really strong scene in the TV show. In the video game it was too, but the TV show, it was really well done. So this was a really good episode. I would hope that people would watch this because this performance was all around, it was really well done. Kathleen, they really portrayed, I realized later on in the episode we found out there was a motivation for what she was doing, but they were portraying her in that episode like she was unhinged. I mean, she
was unhinged. Henry killed himself after he was forced to kill his brother. Kathleen, after her brother was killed, she basically went on a murderous rampage, and her thirst for revenge is what led to her own death. It was a lesson in duality, and unfortunately both of those characters wound up paying the ultimate price.
If there's a theme to this episode, it probably would be family.
Yeah.
and what family means to you.
Love and hate, I think.
Yeah, because the way Kathleen dealt with her brother being eliminated or turned in, which I'm assuming eventually meant he was eliminated.
They killed him, yeah.
That was something I can appreciate because through the episode, Henry was doing everything he could to protect his brother, Sam. In fact, that was the most important thing in his life. I'm trying to remember in the TV show, I believe Kathleen's brother, he was actually the leader of that area, and most of the community really thought he was a wise man. So when he was eliminated and turned in, that hit the whole community really hard.
Well, yeah, because he was the leader of the resistance. And like Kathleen's first in command pointed out, he may have been a good man, but he never accomplished what she did. She was the one in charge when they overthrew Fedra, and she managed to do what her brother had only dreamt of doing. After her forces were decimated when the ground opened up and all those infected came out, I'm not sure how many of them are actually left. That might be the end of
Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember at the end of the TV series, they buried Henry and Sam. And then I think at the end there, they're just kind of walking away and then the credits came up. I think that's how it ended.
Yeah.
So this was a good episode. Last week's was good. This was much better, I think. There was more going on. There was performances that I thought really mattered. It's a shame that Henry and Sam, again, I know the video game narrative was that they died like this anyway, but I like their characters. I wish both in the video game and in the TV series, those characters would have stuck around for a little longer.
Yeah, me too.
Apparently the narrative in the video game said, nope, they're going to last, and then that's the end of that.
Yep. So, all in all, I would recommend this episode. This was a very well-done episode. I don't think you even have to watch any of the other episodes to enjoy this one. So that really says something when something can be standalone like that.
Yeah, this was a good standalone episode, and this is how you do standalone episodes, in my opinion.
Yes, it is. So, what did you guys think? Did you watch this episode? Did you like the deviation from the video game? Let us know in the comments below.
Take care.